Welcome to Atheists Speak Up. I'm your host, Steve Whitty, and I'm joined this month with Gwendolyn Rose Forrest, author of a new book. Welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So why don't we start with how you got into the project, just briefly how you got into the project.
Well, I didn't really start off to write a book, but I had some writings that I had been doing over the years that finally seemed to kind of morph into a book. And I wanted to write something that was universal in perspective. So, and my genre is poetry. So that's how the book finally came about.
Yeah, I did get a chance to read a few of the poems. The layout is a calendar, sort of a layout. So I opened it up to the day that I got the book. My wife actually got a copy of the book, and they're delightful. Every single one of them is delightful that I've read anyway so far.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Thank you. I started writing the book, well, many years ago, and like I said, I didn't really start off to write a book. I just kind of interested in the human condition and decided that I was doing some just brief writing on my own. I've been involved in a lot of different positions in a lot of different cities here in the U.S. and so I had a lot of ideas, and most of my things really come from nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, as an atheist, did that add content to the book, do you think? Did that have some sort of an effect on it?
Well, I know it did. I didn't start off as an atheist. Let me just give you a little background.
Sure.
I was born in Detroit, educated in Detroit. And I went to Wayne State University for my undergraduate education, and it was there that I first had a course in comparative religions, and that got me questioning because I was reared Baptist, that was progressive Baptist, that my family was involved in. And so after then, I started with some questions that, well, that particular Baptist faith just didn't satisfy for me. So after I graduated from Wayne, I then joined Detroit Unity, which is a non-denominational Christian organization, and my questioning just continued. And after well, let me just back up a little bit. When I first got out of the university, I started as a social worker with the state of Michigan, Wayne County Department of Social Services. And from there, I went to the City of Detroit Human Rights Department. And at the Human Rights Department, I was the EEOC coordinator for that project here in the Detroit area.
The EOC is?
It is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And also at that time, I worked on civil rights cases for discrimination in housing, education, credit, particularly for women at that time, and also redlining. So after I left the city, I ended up moving to Atlanta, Georgia. And there I worked for the Economic Development Corporation as a grants administrator. And then I returned to Detroit and worked at the City of Detroit Recreation Department with senior citizens and also in an employment training program. After which I became the research director for the Wayne County Charter Commission and helped write the state's first home rule charter. Yes.
Really?
So I
amazing.
was been around in that particular area, as I said, the human condition. And after the charter was written, because that was just a temporary position, I went with a private employment training agency, after which I went to become the Director of Corporate and Foundation Fundraising at my alma mater, Wayne State. During all of this time, like I say, my path to atheism was moving in that direction, even though I wasn't acknowledging so much of it at that particular point. It was kind of an arduous path for me because all of my friends, family, co-workers and everybody were into some form of more or less Christianity in some way or other. So after being at Wayne State for a while, of course my questioning went on. And I was recruited to go to Portland State in Oregon. And that move just gave me the freedom that I needed to really acknowledge where I was coming from with regard to religion. And so that's when I accepted the fact that I self-acknowledged that I was an atheist. I didn't broadcast it around or anything of that nature because people, they just assume you're a Christian.
They assume a lot. It's true. It's
They
true.
just assume.
But mostly, no matter what they're assuming, they're wrong anyway.
Yeah, right. So after Portland, I became the still in fundraising. I was a certified fundraising executive, and I moved on to Columbia College in Chicago, Illinois. After which I returned to Michigan and was fundraising for Eastern Michigan in Ypsilanti here.
Okay.
And then to Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan. And that's, well, not quite, but almost, that's when my fundraising career ended. But by that time, I was an avowed atheist. Mm-hmm. And after I left Oakland, I ended up going to live with my daughter, who had been in the Navy, and then her husband was still in the Navy. So I moved to Corpus Christi, Texas, from Corpus Christi, Texas, to Denver, Colorado, from Denver to San Diego, California, and from San Diego, California to Fort Worth, Texas, and came full circle back to
here.
Detroit.
I think you have me beat.
So with those moves, I think it just really broadened my perspective. And also, you have to, more or less, you really understand once you live in a place, whether just visiting it, what relationships mean. And generally, the first thing people would ask me to do was join their church.
It happens, yeah.
I know.
Sure.
And so I had to find other ways to become a member of the particular communities at the time. And it wasn't until I came back here in 2012 that was the first time I decided to look out an organization. And that's how I got affiliated with Michigan Atheists.
Sure.
And now I'm affiliated with the Freethinking Women of Michigan and the Black Non-Believers of Detroit.
Okay.
So that was my path to writing this book. So it's got a lot of things in it.
So, did you want to talk a little bit about the Freethinking Women of Michigan, I bet?
Well, yes, it's a fairly new group. formed 2015, just last year.
This last year.
Right. And so we're still getting organized. But here recently, we've had quite an upswing in membership.
Oh, that's good.
Right. And so we're planning to do some things. This fall, there will be a Reason Fest. But let me suggest that you also do an interview with Kimberly Danner, who is the founder, actually, of the Freethinking Women of Michigan.
Yes, we're certainly considering talking to Kimberly.
Good. Excellent. She will be able to speak more to the organization than I can.
And I'm also looking forward to the Reason Fest this fall.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, let me just get into my book a little bit. First of all, it is a book of a collection of original poems that I created. And as I said, I wanted to have a universal perspective, so it appeals to not only atheists, but traditionalists too, because I said it's just a secular book, and anybody could enjoy it. And the format is, well, it's a book that should be read a poem a day. So in this book is 366 different poems, and each poem stands on its own.
So it's 366, so that on a year like this year, which happens to be a leap year, you get one per day.
That's right. You get your extra point.
Yeah. I like the format. If you read a whole bunch in a row, then they start to, like, I don't know, meld together or something. I do like sort of spacing them out.
Yeah, so you can just read one a day, and it was kind of designed to make the reader think, well, actually think about three things. One, to think about or to discover or rediscover his or her purpose in life. And two, to review his or her deeds in life. And then to revise his or her destiny as needed, because I see destiny as something that we create and that's not static. It's something that's created as we live and go about our lives.
Yeah. What was the old saying? Predestiny was, let me see, predestiny was doomed from the start.
Yes. Let me just start this way then. What's your birthday?
January 24th.
Oh, you're Capricorn, right?
Aquarius.
Oh, Aquarius.
I'm not really into astrology.
Oh, yeah, but you do know that. So that was January 24th?
24. Yeah, the cutoff is like a couple days earlier.
Oh, okay. Well, January 24th reads, blankets. Spontaneously, without sound, swirling snowflakes slowly drift down for miles and miles and miles around. They spread a blanket on the ground. And like snowflakes blanket the ground, spontaneously without sound, when sometimes peace seems not around, it blankets us in peace profound.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's got a nice metaphor, and it has something to say through it.
Oh, good.
And that's what I've been talking about. I think that is one of the ones that I read.
Oh, is it?
I just looked it up. Yeah, why not?
Oh, okay, good. I didn't know that. But like I say, it has a variety of subject matter. Here's one entitled Much More. And it reads, you are much more than a full head of hair, just as you would be if your head was bare. Thoughts you think, words you speak, and deeds you do, these are the meaningful things making you. So whether you're dark, medium, or fair, you are much more than the skin that you wear, much more than any trait you have or miss. You're of value for the fact you exist.
Mm. So if I have blue eyes, there's really nothing I can do to cheer them up?
You're okay as you are.
As you are.
Yeah, well, one of my influences was Dr. Wayne Dyer, excuse me, and he's also a noted author and a Wayne State alum.
Yeah. When I was a teen, a friend of mine, he had very thick, very, very thick hair, and I have some of the thinnest hair on earth, like half the thickness. Each hair is very, very thin. And he said, "Oh, I wish I had thin hair like you, because it would be so much easier to take care of." And I said, "You know, I wish I had thick hair like you, because it looks better." I mean, seriously. And he goes, oh yeah, right." And I'm going, "Oh yeah, right." Yeah.
So, but that book that Dr. Dyer wrote was "I'm Okay, You're Okay."
Oh sure. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Here's another one. And this has to do with the fixation a lot of people have with celebrities and their lives.
Okay.
It's called Get a Grip. Do you long to live like celebrities who seem to live the good life as they please? Or do you believe your life is blasé? If so, you're letting your life slip away. Everyone's life is an uneven trip, with many twists and turns, ascents and dips. So don't let yourself be vacuumed into the vortex of someone else's purview. It is crucial for you to understand the joystick of life you hold in your hand. But out of your hand, this joystick will slip if on your own life you don't get a grip.
Yeah, that certainly has a great story arc to it.
There was one that I wrote in particular, about self-love. This is a good one. Have you told yourself I love you today? If you have not, then do so right away. Each day, if you tell yourself I love you, your discourse and deeds will show that you do. As discourse and deeds are reflections of fundamental feelings about self-love, your interactions with everyone else reflect love or lack thereof for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah.
So like I say, there's a variety of subjects here, and I wanted to...
So while you're looking for the next one, on the self-love thing, you can go overboard in one direction or another. There are people who seem to hate themselves. It's kind of weird, but there are people like that. And there are people who are narcissistic to a fault. So you do want to strike some sort of balance, I would think.
Yeah, but you have to love yourself, I believe.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
if you
The balance
don't-
has to have some center to it.
Right. And this one is called Open Season. When females are targets for sex and pain, who without cause can be raped, maimed, and slain because they lack rights accorded to males, it's always open season on females. When thoughts, words, and deeds and the law prevail equally for the female as the male, then the season of reason will begin, and open season on females will end.
Very interesting.
Kind of like that for the Freethinking women
Sure,
of
absolutely.
Michigan. So, as I said, there are several. Well, there's just a lot of different
A lot of different topics.
in here, right? Different
Yeah.
topics. So it is in alphabetical order and easy to read.
It's alphabetical as well as date order.
Yes.
Really? Well, that's interesting. And it just happened that way, You put the pages together. Oh, they're alphabetical.
Oh, it seems to work that way.
What a coincidence.
So I know a lot of people, one last one I did want to read, which it's not that long, but it's the title of the book, Dreams, Deeds, and Destiny. Do you feel out of sync or out of place, as if suspended somewhere out in space, or at the mercy of a fickle fate, either born too early or born too late? Do the things that once brought satisfaction now cause discontent and aimless action? And do you constantly self-medicate or shop till you drop to lift your mind state? If you answered yes, your life needs changing, conciliating and rearranging so that it proceeds harmoniously with your ever-evolving destiny. While your destiny's set to some degree, it is not set unilaterally by the cosmos or by your wants and deeds, but it is fueled by your dreams and deeds. So when you dream, do not dream timidly, and never dream dreams narrow-mindedly, but dream bold dreams with your mind open wide, and with your destiny be satisfied. Your deeds also fuel, they maximize whether or not dreams materialize. So the fueling of your destiny, it falls squarely in your authority. However, you don't decide the details concerning all your destiny entails. Thus your ever-evolving destiny, in the main, it remains a mystery. So with dreams, deeds, and the cosmos daily designing your evolving destiny, your life's tragedy is not that you die. It's using fuel too feeble to fly.
Yeah, and the title of the book.
Yes.
The title of the book. And it has sort of a cosmic, an astronomical theme to it, as it were.
Yes.
And it has all of those things, the things that you do and the things that you expect to do, you want to do. Yeah, yeah.
So,
yeah. So, you know, they say all of your atoms are forged in the hearts of stars. So you're the same thing as basically everything.
as everything in the cosmos.
Everything in the universe.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the
universe starts here.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, we're just part of the universe
Sure. Right.
for a short while.
Well,
Maybe permanently, but we
Yeah.
don't know about it permanently.
yeah. So here's the interesting thing. If you're active and you're doing stuff, then it seems like a short while. If you want to live forever, then you have to be doing something boring. Yeah, I want to do that.
So I recently found out that not only is my book available here in the States, Amazon, and my website, but that it has will be available this fall in the UK and in China and in Mexico.
Has it been translated? I mean, that's
Well,
awesome.
yeah, right.
Yeah, in translation as well. Awesome, awesome.
So I'm quite pleased with that.
Yeah. My friends who are authors that have their books translated are all technical authors, so they're talking about computers or something. Yeah, so they get translated, and you know they have a readership, but they have no idea, of course.
Right,
they have no
yeah.
idea what it's going to look like.
Right. And I went to the website for the one for China, and I couldn't even
Right. Right.
read that.
Right. The Chinese have their own zodiac. It's not at all the same as the
Right.
Western horoscopes, and it's based on the Chinese New Year, and the year that I was born. And then it's not just the New Year happens sometime in either late January or early February, and it's not the same spot each year. It has something to do with the phase of the moon in December and so on. And I found a 75-page PDF that described exactly how to do it, except that there was an arbitrary week or two that is decided politically. So, so I had to get a Chinese friend to find out when New Year's was in the year that I was born, to see if I was, I think it was either a rat or a pig. I forget which one it was. And I don't even remember the answer now. but it was fun to do that. It was kind of fun to do that.
Yeah, because things are so different. Some people think that the way that it's done where they are, or what they do, that's
the only way.
The only way, but it's
yeah, well, you know, each community will come up with a different idea, I would think. So, yeah, yeah. We just have about a minute to go. Did you have any last thoughts you wanted to give our audience?
Well, my last thoughts, I think, would be just to say I think anyone who picked up the book could enjoy it and benefit from some of the poetry that's available.
Well, there's certainly a lot of ideas. There's a lot of content in there.
Yes.
Well, it's been great having you on Atheists Speak Up. I'm glad that we got together and talked about this. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that I was invited to be a guest on Atheists.
Your book and your journey and all of that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it for Atheists Speak Up. I'm Steve Whitty, and that's it for another month.